Ha ha! Fellas, we're back. Football on Thursday, football on Friday. A lot of dudes probably watched college football this weekend. I mean, it just feels good. Feels good to be back. You know, pumpkin spice is back at Starbucks. God, I mean, feels good. We had a long time to wait since last football season. You know, some of us enjoyed the time off. Ben, you know, champion more than others, but I'm good to be back. It's another year. You know, whatever happened in the past, that shit don't matter. That shit don't matter anymore. This year, though, there's a lot of dudes I'm hearing that are due. A lot of dudes are due this year. You know, year 12 of a 12-man. If you haven't won one by now, I mean, hey, is it ever going to be your time? I don't know. Before we get started, I know you're all here for the power rankings. Just got to give a shout out to Hallett, man. I mean, hosted all of us at his house. Beautiful spot, immaculate vibes. Everyone had a great time. Beach, house, food, friends, poker. I mean, what a great time. Shout out to everyone that came. Shout out to Coom, flying in from Columbia. Shout out to Howard, man. Shout out to Larry, beast. Okay, one thing we gotta talk about before we get in the power rankings. One trade happened. It was a big one. It was controversial. People had a lot to say about it. Frank and Steve swapping some early picks for some middle picks. The trade details, I'm a little fuzzy on, but ultimately it was like a couple picks at the turn from Steve at the 11. So 11 and 14 for like end of the second, beginning of the third, beginning of the fourth, end of the fourth, maybe beginning of like a whole bunch of picks from Frank. I guess it doesn't really matter. I think people expected it to have a bigger impact than I think it did. People really thinking where Frank won this. I mean, we'll talk about it when we get to the teams, but it felt like Frank just gave up a lot, got some value, got a bunch of early picks, and then just reached on guys. So it wasn't that, like, if you trade up and then reach, it kind of feels like the net was like nothing really. I don't know. And then Steve he traded back and then got his guys. I mean, he always kind of does this every year anyways. I mean, my opinion, it didn't really matter. People got worked up. I think people are just ready. People love talking ball. Sorry, boys, I'm looking nice. Just got back from vacation with the wife. Baby. Yeah, sorry about it. Don't let your girl watch. Okay, so let's get into the power rankings. We got 12 teams. I ranked them 1 through 12 for y'all. Number 12, the team I kind of thought fumbled the draft. We got off the Penn-Scott. I really didn't enjoy looking at this team at any point, before, during, after the draft. You know, some were saying he came in fried from a busy weekend. Maybe he didn't bring his best stuff. I don't know. I mean, he definitely forced some picks. Let's run through it. So he's got Dak at QB, fine. CD and Cortland Sutton at wide receiver. You know, it's all right. He's got Kyron and Alvin Kamara at running back. You know, two dudes with a bunch of tread on the tires. Tyler Warren at tight end, fine. And then his flexes are Calvin Ridley. You know, quite big question. You know, you never really know. You don't know what you're going to go. Kind of roll the dice with him. And then Agbuka. He went way earlier than I thought he was going to go. People liked him, but he went like 3 rounds before where maybe a normal person would have picked him, and then even a round and a half earlier than I thought our stupid league was going to take him. So, and then what's he got on the bench? Jordan Addison, suspended. Tyrone Tracy, that seems like a pretty good bench running back. Rico Dowdle, like, who cares? Pay Corum, handcuff, and Xavier Legette, like, I think he already picked him up off the waivers. Let's see. So, I mean, CD at 8 was value. And then he gets Kyron in the middle of the second, which was fine. That was fine. And then it felt like, I mean, he went Alvin Kamara in the third. Don't love it. He's on the worst, literally the worst team in the league. I wouldn't be surprised if he got traded, but that might be actually a good thing if he got traded. And then Cortland Sutton in the fourth. You know, that could be pretty good. Calvin Ridley in the fifth, fell early. And then Agbuka in the sixth, like really early. It was these middle rounds. 7, Tyron Tracy, fine. Tyler Warren in the eighth. He was like one of the top couple of tight ends off the board. It was weird. Jordan Addison in the ninth, like what are we doing? I just didn't really like it. He didn't feel like he brought the fastball. You know, he's a 2-time champ though. So maybe he'll pull it together. Okay, in 11. The third monkey. This one felt like this is more of like strategy that I disagree with. He went, let's see by team. Sorry about this. Okay, running back, tight end, running back, QB. His wide receiver 1 was drafted in the 6th round. Hello? I had no idea what was going on. You know, chops were happening. And he picked Xavier Worthy as your wide receiver 1. Felt like such a weird player to pick as your wide receiver 1. I mean, since then, I think Rashee Rice is doing the suspension early in the game, but at the time, I thought Rashee Rice was going to play the first couple weeks, and that felt even worse. So he kind of got a little lucky that he's coming back. He went JT at 10, Bucky at 15. You know, solid. JT at 10 felt really early for JT. He's like a back of the second in most leagues. You know, I mean, running back values in our league are crazy, but. And then Trey McBride in the third. I didn't enjoy that, especially without a wide receiver. And then Chuba in the fourth. I really don't enjoy that. Especially if you're going to have your third running back in 4 rounds, you maybe want to take a shot on a guy. And Chuba feels like a safe pick. And then Jonathan Taylor is like safe, and Bucky Irving is pretty safe. Trey McBride, tight end, like super safe. And he went I just like, it feels like there's almost no upside with his team at all. And his wide receivers are like Xavier Worthy, Juwan Jennings, Matt Golden. I mean, he like, one of those dudes has to break out for him to like have a chance at the playoffs, I kind of think. Don't love it. Okay, at 10, we got Dean. Dean was drafted at 2. You know, it felt like he was more worried about his tan than the draft. This is just not a dude that seemed super locked on the draft. So at 2, he went Bajan. And that, good pick. You know, can't get mad at Bajan. And then he went A.J. Brown and Josh Allen at the 2-3 turn. Bizarre. Kind of felt pretty bizarre. And then he went T-Mont and Aaron Jones Sr. at the 4-5 turn. Bunch of washed running backs. I don't really get that one. And then he went Judy, Travis Kelce at the 6-7 turn. I don't want to talk about this team anymore. All right, Nate. I got Nate at 9. So we talked about Coombe having like no upside really because he went like super safe with his picks. Nate was like reaching all over the place, drafting like weird kind of players. But he did the Nate thing. He took a bunch of young dudes, and you talk about, I mean, like the ceiling of this team is like the best team ever in league history. I mean, Malik Neighbors, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, JSN was like a wide receiver 1 at times. George Pickens' new team, Eck. Then he's got Genty and Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson is your wide receiver. I mean, he's got 2 rookie running backs. I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't mind rookie running backs, but if these guys can like be good, they play against each other in week 1 too. But no one who's watching that game? But Nate's going to be glued. Patriots, Raiders at 1 o'clock. No one's watching that except Nate. Yeah, I mean, sky's the limit. He's got Jaden Daniels. I mean, the age cutoff on his team was like 24. He drafted not a single dude older than him. Maybe, besides Eck, basically. And then he even has like Drake May as a backup quarterback. I don't know. It's a scary team for sure to roll out there. He kind of doesn't know you don't know what you're going to get like at all week 1. This team could be horrible, but a lot of upside. Maybe should have been higher on the list. I don't know. All right, at 8, we got the Junior Mints. So the Junior Mints. Let's talk about that trade now that we're here. So the trade ended up being that Junior Mints, Steve, got Travis Hunter, DeAndre Swift, Omarion Hampton, and Lamar Jackson for Khalil Shakir, Caleb Williams, Josh Jacobs, and H.M. It's 2 running backs, a quarterback, and a wide receiver for the same. I mean, the running backs are better that Frank got, but Steve got his guys. I think his first pick was Omarion Hampton. At the end of the second, some dudes have been saying he's going to go there since our first mock. That was whoever did this, probably Guru. That's a scary dude to have as your running back 1 though. And then DeAndre Swift as your running back 2. He feels like he's going to lose his job. I mean, you hate to see another man lose his job, but he just feels like he's going to lose his job. And then he's got DJ Moore, another Bear. So he's got a lot riding on these Bears. And then his 2 wide receivers are Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, 32 years old and 31 years old. I don't know. Lamar Jackson. You could have the shittiest team imaginable, but if you have Lamar Jackson, he could save you. I don't love it, but I'm switching Nate and Steve. Nate's going at 8, Steve's going at 9. Sorry about it. You don't like it? Make them power rankings. All right, at 7, we got G. G feels like he's due. I mean, he's been the doormat of the league since its inception. I hate to say it. He loses every year. Stinks. Constantly. Has he ever won a playoff game ever? I don't know. He's got Kyler Murray, Brian Thomas Jr., Marvin Harrison. Those are 3 dudes that I'm intimately familiar with at owning all of them. So, like that. And then, but I mean, you got to be pretty happy. You got the Cardinals stack. You got 2 second-year wide receivers. BTJ is a beast. And then your running backs are Derrick Henry, great. And then Breece Hall, you don't love Breece Hall, but he is what it is. Kyle Pitts as your tight end. As long as he doesn't hang on to Kyle Pitts, and if he stinks, then he should be fine. You're gonna have to pivot. You have to pivot if he stinks. But he might be good. I don't know. Michael Penis, he's been good sometimes. Is this the Kyle Pitts year 7 breakout? Hope so. And he's got Diggsy and Olave. Who cares? Cam Scattaboo, Jaden Higgins, that was a good pick. He went way earlier than I thought he would, though. He's got Rashee Rice suspended for, 6 games? I think. I don't know, it doesn't say here. Yeah, 6 games. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he comes back for Vegas week 7, and then he plays 3 weeks, has a bye. Okay. Who knows? Yeah. I don't know. I don't love having a dude suspended for 6 weeks when you have thin benches. All right. And then at 6, I got Franklin. I don't have his team up. Shit. It's bad. It's bad. So he's got Jamar Chase. That was he was saying with the 3 early picks, he's going to go with 3 straight running backs. He didn't do that. He faked dudes out. But, you know, Jamar Chase, number 1 player on a lot of people's boards, gets him at 3. That's value, probably. And then, come on, fucking load. Help me out. All right. And then his 2 running backs, he's got Jacobs. That felt like such a reach. Achane at 11. That's solid. He's hurt already. That's tough. And then his, you know, he's had those 3 dudes. That's his core. Good, you know, great core. Better than everyone else's core just because he drafted them all really high. And then he's like, got RJ Harvey and Roma Dunze in his flex. You know, 2 guys that, like, who knows? They're kind of both like high variance plays. And then Debo as his wide receiver 2. You have Debo as a wide receiver 2. That doesn't feel great. Jared Goff as your quarterback, like, doesn't feel great. You know, Khalil Shakir, whatever. Yeah, it feels like maybe he could have done better. If he didn't force his Josh Jacobs pick, I probably would have liked his team more. And just picked, like, you know, whatever, Brian Thomas at the top of the second. But, you know, who am I to judge? Okay. Then we got 5. I got Ben. Looking huge, Ben. So he got value. This is a dude that, like, tried to get value at every pick. But then, because our league is retarded, he ends up with Chase Brown and Jaylen Warren as his 2 running backs. Like, you hate that. I mean, you hate that. Chase Brown, I mean, it was like you reached on Chase Brown and then you didn't want to reach on a running back the rest of the draft. And you forced these dudes at the end, Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams, Chris Rodriguez Jr. Yeah, you know, a bunch of dudes you're hoping one of them, I mean, ideal case is, like, they either need to be great or drop them and, like, hunt the waivers. He's got Tet, Mike Evans at your flex. You know, you love that. Got value at those picks. Amon-Ra, Lad, you know, good picks, good value. You drafted 1 million targets. Even your running backs, they're not going to rush it, but they're going to get targets. Baker, you got a Baker Evans stack. Baker was value, but all his receivers are hurt. No Godwin, no McMillan, and no K-Dot. So whatever. But he threw for 4,500 yards last year, so, and 40 touchdowns. Jeez. Yeah, you know, if Chase Brown gets hurt, this team is in a dire situation. And Chase Brown is a guy that, like, when these running backs moving around, like, the Bengals might get another running back. Chase Brown, like, is not a workhorse. He kind of is a dude that, like, works better in a committee, and he can be, like, the centerpiece of that committee, but he's like a committee running back. I mean, he's a dude you only really want to give, like, 15 touches to. He reminds me a lot of, like, Prime Eckler. And then they tried to give Prime Eckler 20 touches, and, like, he, like, broke. So that, I don't know, Chase Brown, you kind of only want to give him, like, 15 touches. You're hoping for, like, 10 carries and 5 receptions, a touchdown, you know. I don't know if he gets 20 touches. Like, that's kind of scary. He's a small guy. But, you know, good offense, the receiving work, you know, whatever. All right, at 4, I got Johnny. The John Nelson Memorial League. John, I like this team, John. So you went Saquon at the 1-1. You took, like, maybe arguably the best running back on arguably the best offense with arguably the best offensive line. Great pick. And then at the 2-3 turn, you hit Drake London, T. Higgins. Great receiving core. And then you got Joe Burrow for the stack. You got the Cincy stack. The Cincy stack did a number on dudes last year. And then Tony Pollard as your wide receiver 2. You know, originally didn't love it. Now Tajay Spears is out. You know, Tony Pollard, can you count on him? Kind of like the Chase Brown. Can you count on him the whole year to be a workhorse? Probably not. But, we'll figure it out. You got JK and we got Tajay Spears too. Maybe let him hit the IR. He's on IR. Maybe put him in your IR spot, pick someone else up. Are you running back? And then Sam Laporta as your tight end, solid. Jacoby Myers, solid. Rashid Shaheed, don't love that. Wide receiver 2 on like the worst team in the league. We'll see. Maybe it gets a long touchdown. JK, Darnell, you have a backup quarterback. You picked Joe Burrow and then you have a backup quarterback. Didn't feel like you needed to do that. Well, I like the team, Johnny. Like the team. Hopefully we're not talking about you later in the year. All right. At 3, me. Look, a lot of dudes are going to say I'm biased, but, I do it based on what teams I like, and obviously I pick the players I like. So there's inherently a little bit of bias. Sorry about it. So I went C-Mac, Nico to start it off. The C-Mac pick was a reach, but, you got to get a running back early. You got it. And because if I waited until the second, I would have got Omarion Hampton as my running back 1. I didn't want that. So, fine. Nico in the second was absolute value. In the third, I got James Conner. In the fourth, I got DK. I like DK this year. And then my flex is JMO and Ricky Pearsall. Solid. I got a couple of Niners hoping. I freaked that Bo Nix pick. If you were sitting anywhere near me in the draft, I probably said it 1,000,000 times. I apologize. And then I got a bunch of shots on running backs. Bayshall Tootin, Jaden Blue, Zach Charbonnet, a bunch of committee guys, hoping one of them hits, hoping I can drop someone. Cedric Tillman, week 1, gets the Bengals, who gave up all those huge games last year, hoping he can have a big game. Freaked that Bo Nix pick. The C-Mac didn't love it. James Conner in the third didn't even love that, but you got to get, if you didn't get running backs, then what would he be doing? Hawk in the 9th or whatever, felt like value. B-Rob. Got a little C-Mac insurance. Hopefully C-Mac stays healthy too. C-Mac, I'm betting a lot on C-Mac staying healthy. Drafted him kind of early. All right, number 2. This is a dude whose draft I hated last year, loved it this year. That guy is Fudge. Shout out Fudge. Shout out hosting us, Fudge. Love you, Fudge. All right. Jetta at 9, unbelievable value. And then you went James Cook, Kenneth Walker in the 2-3. Don't love it, but you're forcing running backs. You got to force a running back. And then you went George Kittle as an early tight end. Love it. And then your wide receivers, you got Terry, who you got value on because he hadn't signed his extension yet, has since signed his extension. That's fucking value. Devontae Smith, value. Michael Pittman, kind of value because his ADP should be lower, Tony Richardson, whatever. Jordan Mason, a lot of dudes were upset you took Jordan Mason. Keenan Allen, that's value, a bunch of targets. Trey Benson, Demario Douglas, taking shots. Tesla, you got Tesla, whatever, Isaac Tesla, that's a lot of A's in that name. I like this team a lot, man. Herbo as your QB, maybe bias Herbo. You're projected 104, you're projected to lose to a dude whose draft I hated early, but hey, my ranking's not Yahoo's. I liked it. All right. And then your preseason in the power rankings, number 1 team, Yahoo agrees, Jake, our commissioner. Appreciate you organizing this, Kanish. I loved it. You got Mir Gibbs at 4, value. And then you got Puka in the second, value. Who else did you get? In the third, I don't even know. Oh, Bowers in the third, value. And then you're talking, you got dudes like Downs, Waddle. That's just a lot of targets. Garrett Wilson, drafting targets. You're getting value on targets. A late Mahomes as your quarterback. A late Pacheco as your running back too. Like it. I like it a lot. You kind of, and then you got Bill and Caleb on the bench. 2 committee guys you're hoping for something out of. I like the draft. I like the draft. You know, I'd be anything below championship for this guy this year, he's gonna be upset with. And if I'm Jake, I'm thinking Soupy. I'm thinking Soupy. All right, there it is, boys. Let me know your comments down below. Hit me with what you got. You think Nate should have been higher? Do you think Jake, if he comes in second, he should be happy? You know, these are the questions that we're wondering. Jack, should he have gotten maybe some more sleep so he didn't fumble the draft so bad? People are wondering. All right, see you, boys.